I've been working on this thing for a year, and I figure this page would be a great way to express my thoughts on the subject. This is strictly audio only. It is not a CIEIR, SUR, or AOA thing. There'll be no pictures or live action segments either. It's going to be strictly on my YouTube page. Everyone loves a hero. Selfless individuals that put everything on the line to help out those in need. It could start as minor as helping an old lady cross the street, donating to a charity, and simply offering your seat on the bus to someone who can barely stand. These acts of kindness, though minor, cause a major impact in the world. These same individuals that end up getting something in return, be it from the same people they helped, or a random stranger giving them the same kindness that they gave out. Spiritualists call it karma, religious figures call it divine intervention, and physicists call it equal opposite reaction. Then there are the 1% of individuals who take it a step further. They are the ones who have pushed a helpless old woman out of the way of an oncoming train, or take the bullet for a senator. These people often don't survive the ordeal, but their acts of heroism are either immortalized or labeled as one of the most stupid things a person can do. People often ask a lot of questions about these acts. The initial reaction is simply, how did you do that? However, because of how heroic most of these acts are, the important question is often people won't rarely ask, why? Why would someone risk their life or limb to save complete strangers? And why hasn't anyone else done the same? The year is 2014. We came a long way from our fair share of world wars, depressions, and prohibitions. Terrible tragedies both well known or privately known. Though one thing has not changed since 1938, our love of superheroes. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, you name them. Extraordinary beings using their powers to help others. Why do we love them so much? They are fictional characters, ink on paper. Yet we love these acts they do despite all that. In order to answer the question, we must first break down the standards of a superhero. Normally it goes like this. We have a hero and we have the secret identity. Batman is Bruce Wayne, Superman is Clark Kent, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Why do they need to keep their identity a secret? Because while their acts are heroic, the methods they use to enforce the law border on vigilantism, which is against the law in America and most other countries where most superheroes are born in or reside in. In the pioneer days, taking the law into your own hands weren't as frowned upon as it is today, because there were no laws against it at the time. Another reason they keep their identities a secret is so if they had loved ones, their villain counterparts could use them against them in order to defeat them. Needless to say, when a particular loved one knows the identity of the hero, it makes the situation more satisfying for the villain. Now, many people will tell you that there are two personalities of the superhero. The first is the hero, him, her, itself. They wear a costume that lets them stand out in a crowd, while at the same time conceals many identifiable features. Many of these costume elements include a mask. The mask is designed to conceal the face because it's the best way to reveal a secret identity. There are three kinds of masks in superhero history. The domino mask, famously presented by supers such as the Green Lantern, Robin, or Kato. What's amazing about this is despite being a small mask and that only covers the eyes, it actually fools people. In a small town, it's pretty easy to spot a hero's identity if certain parts of their head is exposed: hair, skin, eyes, scars, etc. However, in a major city, there are millions of people with different features, yet any one of them could match the description of the hero you're pursuing. Then there's the half mask. This covers your head and eyes perfectly, concealing the only identifiable features left except for the mouth. Mostly, this is encouraged because it helps you breathe properly. This mask has three variations. One is a bandana, which is used to cover your head halfway. The other is a ski mask, which covers all aspects of your head, face, and neck, except for your mouth. Last but not least is what I like to call a bat mask. A mask that covers every aspect of your face except the mouth and chin. I call it the bat mask because Batman was the first to come up with it. Now the second personality is the secret identity. This would be a guy that is well known for being the exact opposite of what the hero would be like. For example, Superman is a brave, selfless individual. Clark Kent is a naive, lovable coward that is practically invisible to the public. Even the super smart Lex Luthor couldn't comprehend the two being one and the same. However, those who say there are only two are dead wrong. There exists a third personality. in a way that bridges the two personas. It's the mild-mannered reporter that gets pissed off or worried when they see a disaster in front of them moments before they rush to the nearest payphone you assume to be calling 911. However, upon looking back, you see that he's gone, and in place is a mysterious red and blue tights-wearing man who rushes head-on into danger. A prime example is the scene in Tim Burton's Batman. Bruce was about to tell Vicky Vale his secret identity. However, things get complicated when the Joker arrives to harass Vicky. Rather than run or keep up the ignorant playboy persona any longer, he faces the Joker. This is a side of Bruce Vicky never sees before, but to her it sounds familiar. Bruce calmly tells a story to the Joker about a man just like him, subtly hinting that the person he is talking about and the Joker are one and the same. At the same time, he secretly grabs a fireplace poker and without warning snaps and smashes the vase with it, and in a threatening manner challenges the Joker to a one-on-one fight. That scene is a perfect example of the bridge personality, the one where Bruce and Batman are swirling together into an explosive combination. He tries to keep himself calm as Bruce, while Batman starts building up in anger. However, when Joker asks him the question, "You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" he reverts back to the Bruce persona in utter shock and confusion, allowing the Joker to shoot him. Luckily, he was shielded by the silver platter at the time. However, that moment became crucial for Bruce and Vicky. To Bruce, he finally found the man who killed his parents after years of searching, while to Vicky, she finally has the finishing puzzle pieces that help her deduce Bruce's identity as Batman. Another example is the iconic scene in Superman. Now, before I even get into this one, here's some backstory. The Donner Superman film was a masterpiece due to partially a great storyline, superb effects, and overall talented acting by Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, and of course Christopher Reeve. In fact, Reeve was so great that he managed to fool an entire audience into thinking that Superman and Clark Kent were two completely different people. The iconic scene to which I refer to was done right after the famous "Can You Read My Mind" sequence, in which Superman, after an interview with Lois Lane, takes her on a romantic flight all over Metropolis, as well as different parts of New York City. Upon returning, she answers the door to Clark, whom she apparently had dinner plans with. While he waits for her to freshen up, he takes off his glasses, showing us Superman while in Clark's clothes, struggling to debate whether or not he should tell her who he is. He chickens out, of course, but it was then and there, not only did the audience gasp in surprise, they also saw another example of a bridge personality. This particular example shows the bridge between the Superman persona and the Clark Kent persona, both of whom share the bridge with their loving attraction to Lois, but both on opposite sides on whether or not to tell her. Superman wants to tell her, but Clark reasons that she may not take it well. This is later touched upon in the sequel Superman 2 when Clark falls hand first into a fireplace. When Lois sees that the hand is unharmed, she finally finds out, as well as deduces that while his head didn't want to tell, his heart wanted to. What really happened was that the Superman persona decided not to listen to Clark and made a quick decision. This gives me the impression that the personalities, both the hero and the alter ego and their bridge, are independent of one another. Ergo, these are more than just identities, but a split personality altogether. Said personas, which have been known to either work together or conflict with one another, some of which are diluted to the point where you can never tell which is the real person. Bruce's billionaire playboy persona, for example, is seen by those as close to him as being the real Mask, whilst the real Bruce is the person criminals fear in all of Gotham. He even remarks that he considers Batman his real name. Superman's is a different story, on the other hand, as he has 4 personalities. The first, and not so obvious, is Kal-El, the infant that was sent to Earth, as well as his birth name. This persona was kept repressed until he embraced his Kryptonian heritage. The second is what I stated before, the lovable mild-mannered coward Clark Kent. The third is Superman, the heroic bystander who just so happened to be there when a crime or any other disaster struck. However, the fourth one is the one that is rarely touched upon in comics, but often played with in every other medium. I call this persona the real Clark Kent. This is the Clark that's only shown to those that know Clark Kent and Superman are one and the same. A side that, despite already being the Boy Scout, is claimed to be rarely seen by other heroes. It's essentially similar to a Superman persona, but with a few key differences. For one, it's more warm and welcoming than a Superman identity. No one is the least bit intimidated by him, and it also shows a minor childish side to him. A prime example would be in the Justice League Christmas special called Comfort and Joy, where he decides to invite fellow hero Martian Manhunter to Smallville on Christmas to teach him the meaning. Manhunter, known only as John Jones, remarks that this is a side of Superman that he's never seen before, to to which Clark replies, "That's why I like coming home for the holidays. I can relax and be myself." This further hints to the fact that the real Clark Kent is his true personality because it's the only one those close to him know and love. Then we have the philosophy in the works such as Kick-Ass. One recurring theme in that series, both comic and film, is identity issues. Each main character goes through a time in their life where they question who they really are. Dave Lazowski flip-flopped back and forth to whether or not he is Dave or he is Kick-Ass, and it wasn't until Hit Girl told him the following line, "This isn't a costume, it's who you are." This is further hinted when Hit Girl herself had an identity crisis. Unlike Kick-Ass, who had no one to tell him otherwise, as most didn't know his activities as a superhero, Hit Girl's crisis was more or less forced upon her by both sides. Big Daddy trained her and raised her to be a killing machine, which took away her childhood. This in turn made Hit Girl her whole life, whilst Marcus Williams, her new legal guardian, tries to force her to live a normal life. While the latter's intentions are good, his methods are sloppy. He believes to give Hit Girl a normal life as Minnie McCready, he has to suppress the Hit Girl side, which he believes to be no more than the brainwashed-induced persona Big Daddy created. While she was willing to try that, it didn't just suppress the negativities of said persona, but it also took away the positive traits as well. Her cheerful attitude, her sense of humor, and her strong will. It took humiliation in her quote-unquote normal life, as well as much-needed advice from Kick-Ass to snap her out of it. Because no matter what mask she wears, both clothing and identity, she will always be Hit Girl. This causes a rare anomaly among heroes, as she has no split to begin with. In conclusion, I believe part of what makes a superhero work is that there are more sides to them than we realize. The question is, if you decide whether or not you should cure it, ask yourself this: which side of you is real? As usual, debate, argue, and let me know what I missed. Stay tuned for more.